Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Last chance. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Ko Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Hare Krishna, good morning everyone. Good morning, Vaisesika. We're today reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4. Vidura approaches Maitreya, and we're now on text number 26. Is everyone ready? One person over here said yes. Okay. 12% said yes. You ready? Yes! Uddhava uvāca. Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya. Ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike. Ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike. Sākṣād bhagavatādiṣṭo. Martya-lokam jihāsatā. Uvāca. Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya. Ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike. Sākṣād bhagavatādiṣṭo. Martya-lokam jihāsatā. Pundits? Uddhavaḥ.
Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya.
Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya.
ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
Ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
sākṣād bhagavatādiṣṭo.
Sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
martya-lokaṁ jihāsatā.
Martya-lokam jihāsatā. Śrī Uddhava. Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya. Ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
Sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
martya-lokam jihāsatā.
Martya-lokam. Vaishnavis. Uddhava uvāca. Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya. Ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
Sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
martya-lokam jihāsatā.
Martya-lokam jihāsatā.
Uddhava uvāca.
Uddhava uvāca.
Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya.
Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya.
ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
Ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
Sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
martya-lokam jihāsatā.
Uddhavaḥ. Sorry about that. That was maryada-vyatikrama. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Uddhava
Uddhava uvāca.
nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya.
Nanu te tattva-saṁrādhya.
ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
ṛṣiḥ kauṣāravo ntike.
sākṣāt bhagavatādiṣṭo.
sākṣād bhagavatādiṣṭo.
martya-lokaṁ jihāsatā.
martya-lokaṁ. May I? Okay. Uddhava uvāca. Uddhava said, nanu, however, te, of yourself, tattva-saṁrādhya, one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. Ṛṣiḥ, learned scholar. Kauṣārava, unto the son of Kuṣāru, Maitreya. Antike, staying nearby. Sākṣāt, directly. Bhagavatā, by the personality of Godhead. ādiṣṭaḥ, instructed. Martya-lokam, mortal world. Jihāsatā, while quitting. Translation. Śrī Uddhava said, I'll just read it through. You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. Would you like to repeat?
Yes.
Okay, those of you who didn't say yes, just cover your ears. Śrī Uddhava said, you may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Ki Jai. Although one may be well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of maryada-vyatikrama, or impertinently surpassing a greater personality. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of maryada-vyatikrama, because by doing so, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, piety, and the blessings of the world. What does he lose? It's a lot. Number one, duration of life. Repeat, please. His opulence, fame, and piety, and the blessings of the world. That pretty much covers everything. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these technicalities of transcendental science, advised Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well-versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person. But he was well-versed also, because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of maryada-vyatikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interests of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo-spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurundilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Śrī Uddhava Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaur Premanande Haribol. Today's class sponsored by Vedika. This a word that is prominent in the purport, maryada-vyatikrama, maryada means a boundary, that which creates a boundary, specifically maryada. And that might be in the form of a wall, like there's boundary walls. There may be a rope, lots of them in here. Maryada, boundaries, to drive us in various directions around the temple room and so forth. In fact, the world's full of boundaries, social boundaries. There are boundaries, political boundaries. And vyatikrama is two words with the V at the beginning, some kind of intensifier, vyatikrama. Just like we say atyahara. Ati-ahara means extreme eating. Just like there's extreme sports, there's also extreme eating, extreme collecting. Rupa Goswami says, don't go to the extremes when it comes to eating, collecting, and so on. So we get an idea, ati-krama, overstepping. So the idea of maryada-vyatikrama is overstepping a boundary. And if we look at it categorically to start with, the material world is a place of overstepping dharma. In general, it's the default mode in the material world. That's why Krishna comes regularly, yada yada hi dharmasya, glanir bhavati bharata, to reestablish dharma, because the tendency of those who have assumed a material body is to step over the authority of the Lord. And as is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, bhayam dvitiya abhinibeshatasya ishad apetasya viparyayo smriti. That puts one who's overstepping dharma, overstepping Krishna, overstepping oneself, as we overstep Krishna because we're part and parcel of Krishna, we forget our own selves. And therefore, Bhakti Yogendra says, we're full of fear, as we're in a position that's opposite to our real nature. Bhayam dvitiya, we imagine a separate world from Krishna. Abhinibeshatasya ishad apetasya. We take on a contrary mentality. Ishad apetasya. Viparyayo means opposite. Smriti, opposite to our nature. Our intelligence becomes opposite to our self-interest and to the interests of the world. This is due to overstepping the boundaries of our nature. Therefore, Bhagavatam says, Dharma svanustita pumsam vishvaksena katasuya notpada yed yadiratim. You'll have to finish the last lines on everything. It's a good one too. Shrama evi kevalam. Shrama means that's the hard work for nothing. Sounds great, right? That's the material world. Ashrama means a place where everything's purposefully done for Krishna. And dharma svanustita pumsam. Sutta Goswami is saying in the beginning of the Bhagavatam that in order to turn around this adverse situation that one is in, one should dedicate everything, whatever work one's doing, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the purpose of developing a taste for hearing about Him, love, attraction. In other words, shrama, hard work for nothing, and then 3 definitives, eva, hi, kevalam. Absolutely, positively. What's another one? Huh? Certainly. Without question, it's a waste of time. So, the material world is rife with philosophies meant to overstep dharma and to forget the Lord. Here in the material world, there are various ideas. Materialistic idea, a karmi, work hard and become the boss. Isn't it? You can go on YouTube and people will tell you, just do this, you can be your own boss. There's an idea that if you work hard enough and you arrange your life in such a way, you'll be the boss. Does that register? Say yes. You gotta help me out here. So then you have the Buddhists. The Buddhists say there is no boss. In fact, there's nobody. Ultimately, no boss. These are all psychological fallacies. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, vitaraga, bhaya, krodha. There's 3 psychological conditions that keep us separated from Him. Raga, intense attachment to the material world. Bhaya, fear of our own existence because of our strife here in the material world, in the land of temporary variety. And krodha, a sense of indignation at having heard so many false theories. So you get some philosophies. The Buddhists say, what do they say? There's no boss. The materialist says, become the boss, just take my course. And the second one is, there is no boss. How about Mayavad? You just forgot you're the boss. Read the Vedanta Sutra, you'll realize, tattva-saṁrādhya, hey, I'm the boss, I forgot. And then you got the communists, make everybody a boss. Capitalists, let's vote for somebody and make them boss for a little while. Only the devotees, says the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, they say, Krishna's the boss. Haribol. Yeah. Krishna bhakta nishkam ataiva shanta bhukti mukti siddhikami sakali ashanta. There's a way in which Kaviraj Goswami gives a similar list. So many different categories of thinkers, philosophers, practitioners who have some defect, and therefore they're not peaceful. But the devotees, because they are aware of the principle, of the purpose of the material world, I should just say, they're aware of the purpose of the material world, and therefore they dedicate dharma swanustita pumsam vishvaksena katasuya. All their activities are dedicated to developing an attraction for Krishna. This maryada-vyatikrama is counteracted. First of all, we find in regular society I'm designating as outside of our International Society for Krishna Consciousness. There are definable roles so that people don't overstep. And there are parts to play, as we know, in regular society. This is a sociological theory about role playing. We learn roles when we're growing up, that I'm the child and then I become a teenager and I have relationships with others, like with teachers and so forth, with parents. Some societies have more strict ideas and others looser ideas, but roles are always there. And this idea that we're getting from the purport today of maryada-vyatikrama indicates that we also have roles to play in our spiritual society. There's a way in which Uddhava, although asked by Vidura to become his spiritual master, as we just heard, deferred to Maitreya. And this was properly done because of the law of maryada-vyatikrama, someone senior, and Prabhupada also mentioned in the purport that it was a better fit because they're both elderly. And that's also an important aspect. In etiquette, as a indication of this maryada or boundary, there's a way in which we're directed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through his example, through the Shastra, how to interact with various kinds of devotees. The idea is that when we have the proper relationship, and relationships are based on respect, a culture of respect, and faith, and appreciation for devotees, or for that matter, for all living entities, then there's a way in which we move in the world without stepping over. And this is vital in the practice of devotional service because, according to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we could say Rupa Goswami, there's a way in which when we properly interact with people, then we're able to take the fruit of that association. As an example, in the Upadeshamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami says at verse number 5, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti che prantibishta bhajantamisham shushushaya bhajana vignamananya manya nindari shunya hridamipsita sangalabhya. He mentions associating with three classes of devotee. First one is what? Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta. What does that mean? Huh? If someone says Hare Krishna, everyone say. Then he says, in your mind, you should offer them respects. Because as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if I hear someone say Hare Krishna, I know it's the best person out of the population. And aho batashwa pachato gariyanya jiva gre vartate nama tubhyam te pusta paste juhuvusasna arya brahmanatra nama grananti yete. Devahuti says, if someone even with the tip of their tongue, even one time, can say Hare Krishna, this person is known to have already performed ritual baths, done many sacrifices, gone to all the holy places, followed all the Vedas. They've come to the graduation point of being able to say the Lord's name. It's not exaggeration. And then if somebody has taken the process seriously and is chanting Hare Krishna under a vow, and that's what a devotee means, devoto, someone who's keeping a vow to worship God is a devotee. We say devotee, devotee, devoto from Latin. You made a vow, you're keeping it. That's a devotee. Then what does Rupa Goswami say you should do? You got to work with me on this. What? You should offer your obeisances. There's 3 ways. 1, and then 2 is put your elbows and head and knees on the ground, right? Number 3, like a rod, fall down on the ground. 3 choices, but you got to demonstratively appreciate the devotees who've taken a vow to chant Hare Krishna. It's a relationship. It's the etiquette. And then he says that if someone has practiced steadily and has obviously become advanced, and the way that one can tell one's advanced is by how he or she speaks. If it's devoid of the tendency to unnecessarily criticize others or blaspheming others, then you can tell from speech. In fact, there's only 2 verifiable ways you can tell if somebody's advanced anyway. Verifiable is a key word. That is their steadiness and their speech. Otherwise, good luck trying to verify if they were dancing with Krishna the night before. So the etiquette there means that we're able to take advantage. So as Bhakti True Maharaj used to say, that respect goes upwards and mercy flows down. And for those who are eager for mercy, they keep themselves in a position in which they can extract the mercy from everywhere. Just like oil companies, they know where sometimes the large deposits of oil are, and they're able to pump it out of the ground so they can ruin the whole world. And then there's fracking, which is, there's extra stuff down there, but it's in the rocks somewhere, so they have some way to extract that too. Those who want to advance in devotional service have this sense of, let me extract mercy from everywhere and everyone. When Srila Prabhupada set out for the West, for America specifically, he wrote on the Jaladuta essays that are well known to everyone and songs, and he signed them the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar. How's that for a role? There's an indication there of how one can take mercy from everywhere. In a letter that Prabhupada wrote to Shivananda Prabhu in 1969, he quoted Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, as saying that he was respected all because he felt that he could learn something from everyone. So within a spiritual organization, our foundation is the attitude of respect. And the capital that we have, our only real asset, is the asset of our respect for other Vaishnavas and our dealings with Vaishnavas, which are careful. And they're affectionate. And they're meant for the benefit of others. So when it comes to dealings with devotees, then there's a subtlety in the maryada-vyatikrama. The quintessential pastime, which is almost literally describing maryada-vyatikrama, stepping over Krishna or the rules, but which was okay. So I've given you a hint. You tell me which pastime it was. He said, Prabhu said, what's your name? Bhagavatādiṣṭo, Prabhu said, Shiva and Daksha. That's not what I was thinking. No points for that. Okay, it's in Chaitanya Lila. Okay. Who? That's what I was thinking. It's literal. So one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as usual, had lunch prasadam, and then he would go to his room, and he would receive a massage from his servant Govinda. One day, however, when he went into his room, he was tired, and he lay down in the doorway of his cottage. Govinda was still on the outside, and he beseeched Lord Chaitanya, please, my Lord, could you move a few inches this way or that so I can come in and massage you? And Mahaprabhu replied, what? Too tired, do as you wish, and he went to sleep. What should Govinda do to avoid maryada-vyatikrama? Remember, it means stepping over. There's no way for him to get in. So he put a shutter over the transcendental body of the Lord, and then he crossed over, he stepped over. Ādiṣṭaḥ means he stepped over. Normally, this is a big offense. Even when we do seva, we're careful. Don't step on any devotees. When you walk through the crowd, you go like this, I hope, right? To avoid, and we're respectful. If you bump into anybody, I won't say this is 100%, at least not here. But generally, when you bump somebody, you turn around and say, sorry, Prabhu. That hasn't gotten to every part of the world, but there's a sense of being respectful for the personal bodies of others and so forth. What to speak of Krishna? You don't step on the flowers, you don't step on the paraphernalia, and you certainly don't step over the Lord. Even in the temples, there are spires above the temple on the roof so that nobody walks where the deities are below. So Govinda stepped over. Was that all right? Okay, let's examine why, and that may reveal the principle of maryada-vyatikrama. Because of seva. Thank you very much. Give her a round of applause. As my friend Suradas used to say, your seva will save you. So Govinda stepped over, and then he stayed past the time when he had given Mahaprabhu the massage. Mahaprabhu opened his eyes, saw Govinda was still in the room, was aware of the fact that he should have taken prasadam at that time, and said, why haven't you gone out to take your meals? Govinda said, because you were in the doorway. I'm sorry? Mahaprabhu said, no, it's the second part that he just said in his mind, I believe. He said, we'll check it later. I'll owe you something. He said that I came in because I had to give you the massage. He said, why didn't you go out? In his mind, he said, because I won't go out for my own sense gratification. Of course, it's not sense gratification to take your meals and go on with your schedule, but that's how he was thinking. He's so sensitive to the distinction between I'm serving the Lord and now I have to go back out, and it's for my prasadam, so I can't muster the strength to step over at this point. It's only for seva. And this was a pastime which perfectly fit the nuance of the principle, which comes to this point that Prabhupada mentions in the purport. If you're going to take the post of a spiritual teacher, it must only be for service. What to speak of any post? Any post must be taken in a sense of service. One can't depend for one's potency on the title. One has to have the spiritual acumen. And spiritual acumen comes from a sense of selfless service. If my intention, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the way to solve all the problems of life and live without being affected by the three modes of material nature. Now which verse am I thinking about? He says, live like a lotus. Brahmanyadaya karmani sangham tyakva karotiha. Lipitena sapapena padma patram ivambasa. The lotus is in the water, but it's never touched because it's impervious to water, even though it lives in the water. And similarly, one whose intention is for seva is impervious to offense. Although Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who was asking about chanting 25 rounds on Ekadashi, and Prabhupada said, yes, absolutely, you should chant 25 rounds on Ekadashi. And he said, so everyone should do it. Yes, Prabhupada said. Then he said, so we shouldn't go out and preach that day. No, Prabhupada said, that's not correct. If you're going out to preach, then 16 rounds, and you should go out. And then he said, for a preacher, there is no regulation. And then he stopped and he said, but don't take it. In the sense that we have to know what pleases the Lord. And in the matter of being aligned in seva, we're a movement meant to give mercy. Going back to Prabhupada's moniker for himself, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar. It's, according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, extremely healthy to go out into the great unknown, known as the public, and to present Krishna consciousness to the best of one's ability through teaching, speaking, through distributing books, doing Harinam Sankirtan and so forth. And in such circumstances, one is benefited greatly because people have no sense of our role. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, when you go out to teach Krishna consciousness, although it happens very infrequently that people are rude when you teach Krishna consciousness. Of course, I guess it depends where you are. He said this is a way that you get spiritual blood for your spiritual body. Chid rakta for your chid sharira. If you're neglected, do you ever get neglected in your, well, maybe you do get in your own ashram, but if you have a position somewhere and you're respected based on the verse I gave from Rupa Goswami, there's a way in which people are offering you respects, and then you might leave this campus and go elsewhere and people don't respect you. How do you feel? Happy, because now you have no more designation. Karandar Prabhu, on his memories of Srila Prabhupada, said, as he was the GBC early on, stationed in Los Angeles and also maybe a temple president, and he had a lot of responsibility and he was receiving a lot of respect. He said that when he went to visit another temple, he felt wholly uncomfortable. And then he realized it's because people don't know who I am. He was so honest about it. He's so honest when he gives this reflection. So there's a healthy way in which one can adjust one's sense of entitlement by going out to present Krishna consciousness to others. In those cases, one has to be non-condescending. In fact, one of the ways in which when we meet people in public, I would say when I teach about book distribution, and we talk in America about distributing books to Westerners, there's a different technique in talking to Indians. And that is that, at least my technique is I don't hand them a book. Because as soon as I hand them a Bhagavad Gita, there's a way in which they feel guilty and they say, I already know this. Or, I already know, what's the last word? Everything. I know everything. So, we say, before giving the book, that we're doing this to spread the jewel of India. The greatest asset India has is the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to people all over the world who don't have the benefit. And I say, as you know better than me, that's my preface to everything I say, as you know better than me. Your mother memorized the Bhagavad Gita, your grandmother memorized the Bhagavad Gita, your mother recited it, and your whole family knows Bhagavad Gita already. And in meeting Westerners. Of course, the finish to that is that they're happy to give for others to get the Bhagavad Gita, and then they're happy to receive it afterwards. When we meet people who are unacquainted with Bhagavad Gita or the culture, we ask them, we show them the book and give a quick introduction, and then we say to them, "You look spiritual." And is that could that be true? Yeah, if they're alive, they're spiritual, because that's what's keeping them animated. And when we say that, people think, or they say, or they suddenly feel spiritual. Just like if you walk out of your ashram and someone says to you, "You look really tired," how do you feel? And if somebody says, "You look really bad," then the rest of the day, what? That's not, don't say that to people. But they'll start them. But if you say, "You look spiritual," they attain sudden self-realization. They'll say, "Yeah, I forgot. I'm a spirit soul." And then we ask them, "What is your secret?" And this is where we change roles, because in preaching, as Prabhupada said, you have to be very humble and say to people, "You know everything, I don't know anything, I'm just presenting this to you." And in saying, "What's your secret? How did you get like this to be so spiritual?" And then in the mode of ignorance, they'll say, "I smoke marijuana." In the mode of passion, they'll say, "I'm very organized, and I'm an MBA." In the mode of goodness, say, "I go to yoga classes, I chant mantra," and so forth. Everyone has some sense of their spiritual thrust in life. And I'm making this point, not just talking about Sankirtan techniques, but it's a psychological way in which to, as Prabhupada says in this purport, these are spiritual techniques for the spiritual science. In order to extract the best out of others, we have to be respectful of them and non-condescending. So when we say, "You look spiritual, what's your secret?" we're putting them on the vyasasana and saying, "Please, instruct me now. You're a great soul." That's according to the Shastra. One should approach in that way, as an unfortunate, insignificant beggar, as was Vamandev, right? He just said, he went like this. And how much did he take? A lot more than a few steps. So we're eager to extract from the hearts of advanced devotees the essence of Krishna consciousness. Bhavad vida bhagavatas tirta bhuta swayam vibho tirta kurvanti tirtani swantak snena gadabhata. Yudhishthira recognized what's in the heart of Vidura is what we want. That's the pilgrimage place. So how do we get it? Not by maryada-vyatikrama. We have to be humble and respectful and develop a relationship. And to the degree that we've developed our appreciating capacity, to that degree we're able to receive. More to say, but I'll take some reflections and questions just to expand the conversation and have some human interaction, devotee interaction. Yes, Prabhu. Maharaj.
Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. My question is to how to verify the advancement of a devotee in terms of steadiness.
If they show up. Yeah, if they show up, they're doing their sadhana. Prabhupada talks about somebody who's regularly doing sadhana. They keep practicing, they keep a steady attitude about faith in Krishna and faith in the Guru Parampara and so forth over long period of time. Or over any period of time, but the longer the better. Yeah. Yes? Prihat Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you spoke about non-critical speech, but sometimes Srila Prabhupada would speak very strongly and would criticize. So how do we differentiate between unhealthy criticism and criticism that even an eternally liberated soul would do?
This is mentioned by Krishna in 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that one should be truthful, speak truthfully, beneficially, avoid speech that offends. Also, one should regularly recite the Vedas. And then the tongue is already warmed up to speak in a proper way. You keep the transcendental vibration going. And Prabhupada writes in his purport that unless somebody signs up for your advice, don't give it out so freely. You know, and if somebody comes to you and says, I take shelter, I surrender, I'll do whatever you say, then maybe you can instruct them. But you have to be careful, because people are very sensitive. Peter Burwash Prabhu once told me when we were riding from New Vrindavan to the airport together, he was a businessman, devotee, who got instructions from Prabhupada in Hawaii about doing business. And he said in his company, which was very successful, it was all over the world, when he hired somebody, he always asked them, how do you like your criticism? You like it direct, indirect? I mean, kings don't like direct criticism. That's why Narada Muni, when he met Prachinabarhi, he said, listen, tell you one good. I'm going to tell you a little story about this guy named Paranjana. He goes on for days telling the story, and finally Prachinabarhi shot. It's like, hey, that sounds a lot like me. This is expert presentation, a way to be careful. Once I was talking to His Holiness Deva Amrita Swami about a godbrother of ours who was upset about something, and I said, he's very sensitive, and Mars looked at me and said, we're all sensitive. Living entities are sensitive. Even animals are sensitive. Don't look at them the wrong way. Be careful. This is maryada-vyatikrama idea, is move gently in the world, move respectfully. As Krishna says, recommends in the Bhagavad Gita, be a kind friend to all living entities. We don't do it artificially. We're ishvare taradineshu, balisheshu dusatsucha, prema maitri kripopeksha, yakaroti samadhyama. As preachers, we go out and we distinguish between those who are innocent and those who are averse. I like that word, averse. They don't like verses. So we say, we let them go. All the acharyas say, let them go. That's mercy, so you don't inflame them more. And be careful. Lord Chaitanya, when he met with Prakashananda Saraswati, came in so humbly. He sat down right where they washed the feet, and everyone said, no, no, Maharaj, come over here. And even Prakashananda came over and he gave him a hand, and Prabhupada said, people already are envious. Icha dvesha sumutena dvandva mohena bharata. It's part of the material mentality. And so don't inflame that. Be very careful how you move and how you criticize. You have to be expert. It's an art. And so Prabhupada says, you have to know the techniques of spiritual science. And when we teach, we have to respectfully approach people, respectfully criticize them so they don't lose face. When Krishna had rescued the kings who had been stolen away by Jarasandha, he was such a brute. He had taken these dignified, well-operating kings, and he threw them into a dungeon, and he kept them there for a long time until, under the instruction of Uddhava, Krishna came there with Bhima and Arjuna, and they had slain Jarasandha, and then Krishna, liberated all the kings. Before he let them out into the world, he dressed them in kingly raiment and cleaned them up so they would be dignified. He knew they're kings. They can't just walk out with soiled dress and having been subjected by some ogre for so many years. So Krishna's sensitive, and we have to be similarly sensitive in the way that we deal with others. If we're a little respectful and we remember how much we like being directly criticized, especially in public, then maybe we'll find artful ways, which is the word that Prabhupada used, techniques of spiritual science. Technique comes from Greek, technikos, and it sheets back to a word that means art, or artfully done. So we have to be, this is, as Prabhupada said, the techniques of spiritual life. If you want them summarized, they're in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 8 through 13. For your free Bhakti Shastri certificate, if you can answer this question. 8 through? Give him Bhakti Shastri. He already has one. Free Bhakti Shastri diplomas for everybody who got the answer right. And also, the last 6 verses in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. All you have to do is copy those and then follow them before you criticize someone. And if you read those and you're careful, and the way we move about the world, Krishna says, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmani Gavihastani. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj's most quoted verse, which I always relish hearing from him, that to walk carefully in the world and respect all living beings. That brings us to the end. I would like to also, besides bringing up Vedika, a new book, which I've already violated the principles of this morning, called Srila Prabhupada's Kirtan Standards, a handbook by His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. I highly recommend this book. I've read the whole thing from cover to cover, and it just came out a few days ago. I just sat in my room and read the whole thing, and it's life-changing. It brings one to a sense of obedience to the spiritual master. At least it'll work on some people, maybe not me, hopefully by the words in here. It's available, and you can pick it up at your leisure. And finally, I have gifts for everyone today. You get a free gift just for sitting through my class. So we have gifts we're going to pass out, fun gifts for everybody. And we also have Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have, right now, it's happening all over the world, the distribution of the Chaitanya Charitamrita up until Gaur Purnima. This is the book that the devotees painstakingly published in Los Angeles based on Prabhupada's directive that they should finish it in 2 months. Right, Rameshwar Prabhu? So the painstaking way in which Prabhupada took to write this book, we could also take in reading it. So is anybody here that's new, that doesn't have a Chaitanya Charitamrita yet? What is your name? What? What's her name? Bhaktin what? Bhaktin Jamuna? You sure you, what? You don't have a Chaitanya Charitamrita? I would like to gift you a Chaitanya Charitamrita today. And also, I invite anybody who would like to place a Chaitanya Charitamrita in the hands of someone who doesn't have one, or if you have more rooms in your house than one and you already have a Chaitanya Charitamrita, I recommend you put one in every house. After all, materialistic people put a TV in every room. They put a TV in supermarkets, one on the back of the seat or in your airlines, so you can have Chaitanya Charitamrita everywhere. So these are the full sets of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We just happen to have a whole pallet full of them ready to ship out. The moment that you want to sponsor one for someone anywhere in the world, we place them in villages in any language all over India. We can place them in countries around the world where people don't have Chaitanya Charitamritas, or we'll hand you the set and you can give it to somebody else. Are you ready? Say yes. This is the time you really say yes. How much is it, Vaisesika Das? It's only, no, that comes after. How much is it? Only. Okay, 4,000 rupees only. And if you're paying in US dollars, it's $99 only, and that includes shipping to any place that you want us to ship it. Are we crazy or what? So, let's see. I'll be really quick. We're almost done. Free gifts will be given over right here. And this is all about the sets. With shipping, and there's a form here. All you have to do is fill it out, or you can hand us the follow-up, the table, for the payment. We're going to have a table, and you can pay or make a pledge, and our team will get in touch. Is that all correct? Okay. So far, and we only have 30 more seconds, I've sponsored one set myself. Would anybody else like to sponsor a set of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to give to a friend? Rameshwar Prabhu, how many? Is that 10 fingers is what? What? 2 hands means? He put Rameshwar down, give him the form. He's taking it around. That's Madhava, the head of Chaitanya's minions here on campus. He leads the book distribution. He distributed 12,000 books in 4 months. And if you want to join his team, he'll show you a technique to distribute books here that is guaranteed. If you use our technique and you don't sell a book, we'll pay for it. You just write us a letter and we'll send you the money. Okay, so Rameshwar, who else? Yes. Okay, take her a form. I'm sorry? Okay, others who would like to sponsor a set for somebody else or take one for themselves. You've got like 10 seconds left. Yes, right back here. We're not going to call out your names because I don't know everybody, but take the form. We have you on camera. Now you have 10 seconds. I'm going to count down from 10. Okay, over here. Hands are up. This is for Worldwide Marathon to popularize the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhaktivinoda Thakur couldn't find a copy. We never want that to happen ever again. Therefore, we're going to cover the earth in every language with Chaitanya Charitamrita. And we ask everyone to do the placement over here. This young lady, give her a copy too. Now we have 5 seconds. I'm counting down, and once I get down to 0, it's all, the offer is finished. You're never going to get one like this. Are you ready? Krishna 10, Krishna 9, Krishna 8, Krishna 7. Give me a Dintanakadina. Dintanakadina. Krishna 10, Krishna 9, Krishna 8, Krishna 7, Krishna 6, Krishna 5. Come on, work with me. Krishna 5, Krishna 4, Krishna 3, Krishna 2, Krishna 1, Krishna point 5, Krishna point 125, Krishna point 00125. Okay. Thank you. I don't want to take more than my time, but it's been an honor to be here. The classes we've been listening to over the last several days have, for me, have been life-changing. It's just a testament to the potency of the Sankirtan movement, that those who are dedicating their lives to hearing and chanting and then presenting to others can actually change the hearts and lives of everyone. And I endeavor, pray that I may serve you in any way possible. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Panchatattva, Shri Radha Madhava, if you so desire, please let us distribute Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in every language all over the world. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna. No, I said unmute and say Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpadrishya kripa sinabheva chapatitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Good work. Look at this. She gave her form in right here. 2. Free gifts right over here. We'll see you over on the side.